Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, or if you're new here, welcome officially to the channel. This is, as you know from the intro, a series where I go into on gaming accessories or peripherals that developers made to get us more into the game mentally and physically. Today I want to go into an arcade system. That's right, I said system, which is kinda new for the Oddities series when it comes to arcades, but apparently around 2010 or a little later, Sega made a full-on gaming computer for the arcade. Now, Sega is no stranger to the arcade. Much of their inception stems from creating and selling arcade cabinets, being one of the primary and most dominant arcade manufacturers with a history that dates all the way back to 1973. Being the kind of company they are, they have historically always been working on new types of arcade boards, so that they could use these for various different titles. From the dual board that ran games like Head-On, all the way to popular boards like the System 16 board used for games like Golden Axe and Altered Beast. Sega was always pushing the envelope and working on consoles that could push those games efficiently at home, all the way up to one of the systems we want to talk about today, known simply as the ALLS system. ALLS stood for Amusement Linkage Live System. You may have noticed the words linkage and live as part of the name. And yes, that's because many of these systems could be networked on something called all.net. This was an internet-focused arcade network that enabled the arcade games to be connected via the internet, enabling online battles, national rankings, and storage of play data. This was developed alongside the ALLS hardware in 2004. The ALLS hardware is kind of a long list coming in multiple flavors, and this is where things tend to get a bit muddy in my research. You see, ALLS is more of a software platform. It's custom made to network some of Sega's hardware. It doesn't really have hard set specifics in board type because it's not really a board from what I can tell, even though it's sometimes listed as such with various different hardware specs for ALLS UX, HX2, and MX2, all with various different specs, which might make this more of a server architecture meant more for processing than anything else. What it really worked on was more along the lines of their consumer-based hardware arcade solutions. Yeah, it sounds weird, but a lot of their late arcade hardware was built around standard PC specs. Things like Triforce, Ring Edge, and New would all run on various different flavors of Windows. Yes, that Windows, allowing them to be networked together. One of the largest attractions of these being a game called Star Horse, which, to the surprise of no one who's been paying attention to this channel, allowed for people to gamble on, you guessed it, horses. I have no idea, but Japan seems to have a fixation with gambling and digital horse racing. First the Famicom with its modem and the JRI PAT, and now Star Horse. This would allow players to gamble on horses and win tokens. It's almost poetic in a way that the company that got its start as an American company that allowed servicemen to gamble before being banned for the practice, and got reformed as the company we know today, circles back around to something akin to gambling. What, nobody else finds this funny? Okay, just me. Moving on now. It's an oddity, you ask. Networking computers has been a thing for ages, and you would be right. And I'll be honest, I had more than a little trouble digging in on this to find out if this was really an oddity, or just me being odd and finding it interesting. Thank you, I'll be here a week. The reality is, it kinda is, or at least it's new, and may be an oddity by the fact that, well, arcades are dying rapidly. Because as far as I can tell, this is one of the first, which technically makes it more of a moment, save for my other statement that arcades are dying rapidly, and so much so that Sega's closing most of their ones in Japan. This sort of makes it both. Like I said, it's a cool way to modernize the arcade and try to catch it up to what was and still is going on in the world, which is globally networking the gameplay experience together. Think about how you play a game now. Most games have other players around you. Even the latest Diablo has you in servers with other players whether you play with them or not. Outriders did the same thing. This way, for companies like Sega, Sammy, and even Namco to get in on that same kind of action and have players compete with other people literally all over the world. This arcade networking system, which is to me really cool way of doing this and unique, which in a way does make it an oddity if any of that paragraph made any sense to any of you whatsoever. What did you guys think of this one? Do you think this is more of an oddity or a moment in gaming history? Are you just confused where it belongs as I am? Have any of you ever played any of the games that used this or were networked? And if so, what were they? Let me know in the comments. For now though, thank you once again for spending part of your day with me. If I could ask you for one more favor, please leave this video a like. And if you haven't, consider subscribing. That helps me out a ton. With all that said, thank you once again, and until we meet again, happy gaming.